These nuts.
Oh, okay. Gotta tag some streamers in this post.
That's the energy I'm bringing to this show. Take that, Ninja.
Right.
Take that, Cutie Cinderella. Take that, Hassan Piker.
All right, and that's our intro.
He's my favorite. He's the one I like. All right, let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 110 of the GGG Podcast. I am Paul, and as always, I am joined by Phil. We got a good show for you today. Got some interesting releases this week, and we're going to be talking about Overwatch, Dune Awakening, the Nintendo Direct that happened today, big events going on in Helldivers 2, lots of footage of Crimson Desert, and we're going to talk about the new announcement today, which is Horizon Hunters Gathering for the main topic. God help us. But before we get into all of that, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do so. And if you're listening to the audio only version on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, follow us over there as well. Phil, you look very ponderous this afternoon. What's going on in that big head of yours?
I've been trying to think of a bit for this strong physical motion that I took, this strong position that I took.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to think of one. I feel pretty good about all the games I've been playing, so I don't have
It looked like your audition for like Professor Xavier, like New Generation or something. So
I have been watching. You know what? I'm gonna throw this out there. I watched Wonder Man on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, I heard pretty good things actually. What did you think?
Excellent. If you're an actor in LA, like it captures that. It's got a really cool episode featuring Josh Gad playing himself. And Ben Kingsley is just kind of a revelation. Like he was in Iron Man 3 as the fake Mandarin, and then showed up in Shang-Chi as who he is, and then in this show he is just like a sweet old acting man who lives in Los Angeles. It's very, very good.
Right on.
Yeah.
What about video games?
Who cares about video games? No. So lately I have been playing more Absalom, a little bit of Enshrouded, a lot of Arc Raiders, and a little bit of Marvel Rivals. So it's been kind of like a chill week for me. I have played YAPYAP for a couple of matches, which I will go into in our releases. But yeah, it's been a pretty low key, normal, like those are my regulars in my rotation week. How about you, Paul? I've seen you on Absalom. I've seen you cranking those numbers in.
Yeah, been playing Absalom, been playing with my partner quite a bit, and then also played with a friend who has beaten the game, so they carried me for quite a while. I don't know. I really like the game. I like it more than the average roguelike. I know I've talked about before, roguelikes are not really my genre, and I still kind of have that problem where anytime I have a run and I like really don't like the skills that are my options, I'm just kind of like, well, I know I'm not going to win this run because I don't have the right skills, because this is the fourth skill that I'm picking up and I still don't have an augment for my basic square attack. So which is annoying. And so I don't like that element. But again, that's not Absalom's fault. That's just how those games work. And I get that you want to, do that genre. So I do get it. But overall, it's a really good game. Love the animations. Been having lots of fun with that. So I've been playing that. Been playing a lot of Rematch with my friends. I'm in Gold League now. I got my friends are in Platinum, making me jealous.
Jeez.
So yeah, we're getting good.
What I'm wondering is, I feel like you were the person who talked a bunch of people into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're in Gold League. And just like when we played, I felt like you were pretty consistently, like you were in Gold League, you were doing things to affect the match more than me. For some reason, I was a rank above you. What does Rematch have against you?
So what happened is I played my ranked matches by myself with randoms. And
that'll do it.
When I convinced my friends to get it, they played their ranked matches, so we were all playing together. And so they won all of their ranked matches because we were playing as a team. And so they got ranked higher than me because of that. So that's what's
Makes
going
sense.
on there, unfortunately. And then what else? Been playing some RuneScape Dragon Wilds. I'm back on that. They've put in a lot of updates into that game. So I'm very happy with where it is now. It feels a lot less like a early access game. They still have some updating to do, but it really feels like, I think if you're going to jump on the bandwagon, now's a great time to do that. If you like, it's somewhere in between Valheim and Enshrouded. It's a little bit more casual than Enshrouded, and it's a little bit deeper than Valheim. I really like that. So been having fun with that. What else? Some usuals. Been playing some Space Marine with some friends. Been playing some Helldivers with some friends. But that's pretty much been it. One last thing. I tried out Fallout 76 because...
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, cool.
Well, it was because of with the finale wrapping up for Fallout Season 2. Fallout 76 was actually free to play for anybody who wanted to. And it was on sale for $7.99, which I think it is still on sale until like tomorrow morning. So probably if you're listening to this, it's probably not on sale anymore. I tried it out. It's fine. But I also saw how it's really designed to, it's $8.99 because we have microtransactions built into other systems.
Yes.
And I don't know that I like the gameplay enough to really commit to doing that. So yeah, so probably won't be playing any more of that, unfortunately, but wanted to give it a shot because the Fallout show is so good. It just got me in the mood for that world. So
the Fallout show really is good at that. I think last year, a year and a half ago, when the first season came out, that led to not too long after the up-res of Fallout 4 for the modern generation, and I started playing, and I was like, I think this is time I'm gonna go finish Fallout 4, and I played it for about half an hour, and I was like, they didn't update anything. It just is higher res. Cool.
Yep.
Nope. No, thank you.
Yep. Change it from 4K to 8K.
Yeah. One of the things that pisses me off about Bethesda in general is that they have their mod store and all the things that you can do with that, but it feels like they rely on that to fix problems within the game, and they stop doing updating because it's like, let the fans do it, and it sucks. It makes me so sad.
It's a classic Bethesda thing. It's the same thing with Skyrim, same thing with Starfield. That's how Bethesda does. So
you guys do it, but no, thank you, Bethesda.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into our major game releases this week. First up, Nioh 3 getting some pretty good reviews. I'm not really a Nioh fan. I have seen lots of video of the other two games. It does look pretty good, to be honest. It looks like obviously, Nioh's been out for a long time, so I don't want to just be like, oh, it's just Elden Ring. It's not Elden Ring, but it definitely is that same genre of game, and it looks less difficult. Not to say that it is an easy game by any means, but
you're higher powered in this game, I think. Like you kind of show up and you're a bit of a badass.
Yeah,
whereas in Elden Ring, you have to for every step of the way,
Exactly. Elden Ring's more about you're making your character and you're progressing, whereas this is there's two modes. You're a samurai or you're in ninja mode, and those are the two gameplay styles, and then you just refine those as you level up and you advance through the game. So it looks really good. It's getting pretty good reviews. If you're a fan of it, it's probably a first day pickup. It looks like, especially at this time of year when there's not a load of big titles coming out. So
yeah, I played a lot of the first one, and I definitely am on the fence. It does seem like all the reviews are saying this is the best one in the series. So this might pull me, although there are some other great games that got released this week. So who knows? Maybe we'll be playing those.
You mentioned you played some YAPYAP. So what's the deal with YAPYAP over here?
So YAPYAP is a lot like Repo, where you play as these cute little characters. It's got a grain over the aesthetic, but you're these little wizards in this game with big eyes. Your mouths move, and you've been hired by another wizard to go into his rival wizard's towers and just break stuff, rough up the place, really. So what you're doing is like in opposite of Repo's fashion, where you're like picking up a single object and trying to move it into your thing. You're just picking up a vial and chucking it at the wall. I haven't been able to figure it out. There's some spell that just throws piss everywhere, which is pretty fun. And all of this. It's called Death Stranding Piss Bombs. You say Norman Reedus into your mic, which actually brings me to the way that the spells work in this game is you have to use your microphone and you say the spell and the game recognizes it. So there's like arrow, or one of the spells is up dog, and it like creates a gust of wind that blows you up into the air. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what it's got up its sleeve. I only played like a couple matches, but if you're into those types of games, get very silly with your friends, this is another great addition to that line of Peak / Repo / the older version of Repo.
Right on.
Lethal Company.
Lethal Company. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Repo's better, though, to be honest.
Yeah, Repo's better.
Yeah, even though it ripped off Lethal Company, but it is better, unfortunately.
Ripped it off hard, ripped it off good.
All right, next up on the list is Menace. This you were describing this to me before we started recording. I think it was a pretty accurate description as kind of being a fusion between Command and Conquer and XCOM. It's a real-time strategy game, but instead of taking control of individual soldiers like you would in XCOM, you're taking control of like a squad of soldiers or a tank or a different element. And it looks like it's not just based in like standard, what we would consider modern warfare, but that you actually are going to different planets and you can customize your cruisers and stuff like that. So pretty interesting game. And I think not a lot of games in this genre coming out right now. So I think there's opportunity for this game to succeed, especially with it coming out on Game Pass. So
yeah, it is on Game Pass. It says it's in game preview. So it might be in early access, but This game looks great. I'm happy that indies are getting their hands on this genre. We need more of it.
Absolutely. All right. Are you ready to get into the news this week, Phil?
Oh, I am so ready. I am too ready, too furious. I am the sequel to ready. Speaking of which, Overwatch 2 decided, hey, we don't need to be Overwatch 2 anymore. We're just Overwatch, which we all kind of knew. We all decided that.
Not kind of. We all knew the entire time. The entire time we knew.
Well, Overwatch 1 doesn't exist, or Overwatch, the original version doesn't exist anymore, because like if you were playing that, it just turned into Overwatch 2. So it was just Overwatch. Yeah, they're pulling an Xbox and getting rid of the other things on top of it and just saying, hey, it's Overwatch now. But some exciting news about this new relaunch. They are adding 5 new characters that drop next week. And I haven't seen them talk about the single player elements they promised years ago. Are they doing that now? Is that what's different?
Yes, they are. So yeah, I think the negatives is the branding is ridiculous. I'm glad they finally did this, but it just goes to show you why nobody cared about Overwatch 2 in the first place, is that it was just Overwatch 1. It was just an updated version of Overwatch 1. It went free to play, and so it was kind of ridiculous that they had it listed as Overwatch 2 when you're playing the exact same characters, the exact same maps, with the exact same abilities. So I'm glad they didn't charge for Overwatch 2, that it launched as a free-to-play game, but it should have never been Overwatch 2. It is Overwatch 1. But the good thing is that they are finally adding things that they always promised would be coming to Overwatch, and that would relate to all these magical cinematics that we've gotten over the years. All of these impressive, very well done cinematics for Overwatch that hinted at a larger universe and world that we never experienced in the gameplay at all and had nothing to do with what the game was about. But now they're finally adding in a bunch of single player stuff and a bunch of challenges so that Overwatch isn't just the one game mode that it launched with all those years ago. So I am happy about this. And I will say, I think the reason that this is happening is because of Marvel Rivals.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, look, I think that this is not really a hot take, but like, I think Marvel Rivals is probably the best thing that happened to Overwatch, because they finally said to Microsoft, it's like, oh, look, when you try, you pull
Things
market.
happen.
And so now they're improving the game. They're adding content. There's a lot of different things you can do, and at least in what they're promising in this update. So I'm hopeful for this, and like looking at their update page for Overwatch 2, I'm like looking at all the characters and I'm like, wow, I don't recognize any of them. I recognize Winston in the corner. That's it. So I think this is going to be interesting. I think, just because we do this podcast, I'm not a big Overwatch fan, but it might be something where I have to re-download it just to check it out so we can talk about it a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, or you could just play Marvel Rivals. It's fine. Storm came along with her buddy Emma Frost and her thick thighs, and they ate Overwatch's lunch. They drink your milkshake. Good to see that they're at least doing something, because I think they're in kind of a spiral at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see how good this update is when the public, I think it is in private beta testing right now, but when the full public gets access to it, we'll see how successful it is. Pressing right along, Dune Awakening has announced their Chapter 3. Hasn't really tackled a lot of the problems that you and I had with Dune Awakening in the beta, Phil, which is unfortunate. But there is a lot of content coming to the meta game of Dune Awakening. So it is worth noting. There's a lot of PvE content in particular added to the game, and I think this is to relieve players who've reached the end of the game from just having PvP encounters and having that really be the only thing that's going on. So there's tons of PvE missions that are dropping, tons of different things you can do and make. There's also a new purchasable DLC with different skins and stuff like that. There's new building options that they've added to the game, and most importantly, this update has eliminated taxes, which apparently was something that was in Dune Awakening that I was not aware of, that you had to pay taxes. Now, when I say taxes, I'm not talking about real money in the real world. These are taxes built into the economy in the game, where you have to pay taxes to the house that you're in allegiance with. And so this is and if you don't pay your taxes, your base can essentially disappear off of the map. So for players who have not played Dune Awakening in several months because you've had nothing to do in the game, your base might have disappeared if you haven't gone back in and checked on things, which I'll tell you, if I was a Dune Awakening player, I would be absolutely furious if that happened. So I don't know why that was built into the game at all. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I will connect this. This is similar to V Rising. For players of V Rising, you do have to fill up blood in your base to keep it powered to ensure that your base survives. So I do get that, but V Rising has the option of playing the game in private servers. Dune Awakening, you do not have that option. So they have eliminated this tax. So if you build a base, it will stay there, thankfully. But yeah. So much needed improvements for the Dune fans out there. Does this move the needle for you at all?
No, the gameplay's still bad. It feels like a floaty mess.
It is. They have a big update video where they get into all the details for this update. And again, they've added a lot of content to the game, so I don't want to completely crap on it. But to me, it's the gameplay, the gunplay. It still feels wonky. Still looks kind of bad. I just, that's a major problem. And even if you're adding missions to the game, if the gameplay itself does not feel good, what is the point of the new level? And that's just where I'm at.
a Dookie Sunday is still going to be a Dookie base no matter what gen on top of it. That's my not
that was
to get simpler. You know what I mean?
I don't.
You can put Cool Whip on it. You can put chocolate syrup on it. But if the base is still Dookie, it's still going to be Dookie.
Okay.
There
all
we
right. All right. I got there. All right.
Well, let's move along to another Dookie Sunday. The Nintendo Direct. They showed off their partner showcase for February. They announced a bunch of things, which is very, very cool, coming to the Switch 2. Specifically, everything is a port. Everything that's coming is a port. We got Fallout 4, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We have Valheim. We have a Hollow Knight port. Not a remake, just a port. Pragmata is coming to the Switch 2, which is exciting. Turok Origins is coming to the Switch 2. Cool. But nothing that I can play right now that is specifically from Nintendo that is gonna move the needle for me. Digimon Story Time Stranger. Great game. Coming to the Nintendo Switch at some point this year. I don't know. Paul, how did you feel about this whole Direct?
I mean, it was just lame. I'll cut Nintendo a break because they have been steadily releasing first-party games since the Switch came out. So I think it's a little unfair to hold them to a high standard for this Nintendo Direct. So I'll cut them a break. I don't think it's that bad. But what I do see is them doing the same exact thing with the Nintendo Switch 2 that they were doing with the Switch, where it's like we're seeing all these ports, and it's like, yeah, it's cool that Pragmata and Turok are coming to the Switch. Do I want to play those games on a Switch 2? I get that a Switch 2 is more powerful than a Switch, but it's like it's not gonna look better on a Switch than it looks on a PlayStation, or than it looks on my PC, or it looks on that Microsoft machine I can't remember the name of. And so like I don't like I don't know what to really do with that. It's like maybe the Digimon game would be like I think like games that are a little bit more stylized make sense that you're going to play them on a Switch. But I think that what they try to do is they're like, oh, even this graphical powerhouse, we can still run it on a Switch. It's like, yeah, but you're running a lesser version of it. So I don't know if I really want to experience that game that way. I'd rather play that on my PC. I'd rather play it on a high-end console. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you for pretty much everything in this drop. There are some games, like I feel like the Switch is a great little indie or JRPG machine, but I definitely don't want to play Final Fantasy Rebirth on there because that game looks incredible, and it's going to have long load times, going to have a lot of issues that it wouldn't have on the other machines that can run it. Yeah. I feel like Nintendo's really got to double down on their first party or like show us just a bunch of really cool indies. But
again, I get it. They've pushed out a bunch of games. It makes sense. We got Donkey Kong, we got Mario Kart, we got Metroid, we got Kirby. They're also the new Resident Evil game is coming to Switch 2, which is again not where I want to play it. Yeah,
but looks cool.
Yeah,
it's cool. They can do it.
Cool. It's an option. I guess, I don't know. I do think that there is a specific gamer that only has a Switch. And so that's good for that gamer. But I think, gamers who are a little bit more hardcore, people like us who have multiple platforms and play a more wide variety of things, we're not buying those games on the Switch. That's not going to happen. So, yeah. All right. Pressing right along. A lot of Helldivers news. Helldivers never seems to be going away. But there is a gigantic update that just happened this week. This is coming right off the heels of 2 war bonds that they released within the span of 2 weeks to wrap up January last month. So, Helldivers is doing their they're doing the Automaton campaign, and we're doing a massive week-long event in Helldivers where the campaigns are trying to push all the way to Cyberstan on the Galactic War map, and they have released a tank in the game that is free for all players. You do have to buy it with requisition, but that's the regular normal currency. You do not have to pay for the tank with real money in any way. And if you've been playing Helldivers for a while, trust me, you have enough requisition to just buy it immediately because there's nothing else to spend requisition on really. So the tank is a 4-person machine, which is really cool. One person drives the tank, the other person mans the cannon and reloads the cannon, and then you can have 2 people on either side on top of the tank who can pop out and go back into cover and who can use any of their weapons and can deploy stratagems while being in the tank, which is really cool
actually.
Yeah. So
that feels like a really fun way to, because sometimes it feels like in those games when you get into a vehicle, you are not doing anything that like you specially brought to the game. So it's cool to have like, okay, I've got my laser cannon guy over here, like popping out the corner of the laser cannon, wrecking shop while we're driving. So,
100%. It definitely feels a lot more useful than the FRV, the warthog, for lack of better words, that they put in the game. Yeah, the FRV more felt like a fun vehicle rather than it didn't really feel like it was useful. So this feels very useful. It does a lot of damage. I will note, I think it does have a limited ammo, and then it does have gas. So you will run out of gas in the tank. But from what I've seen playing with it, you're gonna get pretty far before it runs out of gas. So it's all really cool. This also comes along with many weapon buffs added to the game. I don't think really no nerfs coming to the game. So they've improved a lot of the weapons as the enemies have gotten harder as well. Helldivers are fighting the Jet Brigade right now, so there's a lot of heavy bot enemies in the game, along with all these new explosive things. I don't know if you saw the Siege Breakers War Bond, but they added the explosive hammer. Did you see this?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it looks really cool.
It does. It
Basically
looks really
Fallout.
Really huh?
Like the jet hammer from Fallout, kind of.
Yes, 100%. And
Hell yeah.
And it lets you go up and blow up heavy units, and you don't take any damage, which was always really my fear. So it's all of the damage is front facing. None of it comes back this way at the player. So really cool. I'm excited that Helldivers is still pumping out the awesome content. So hell yeah. All right, let's get into Crimson Desert, a game that we have both been very excited about, and we've been getting a lot of gameplay this week. Phil, I know you've been wanting to talk about it. Why don't you start us off?
Oh, yeah.
What are your impressions of Crimson Desert, all this gameplay that's been shown?
So again, Crimson Desert has looked too good to be true for a while now, and it continues along that trend, but it's feeling less and less like vaporware with every showing, because they are really sort of showing all of these different systems and strategies and like play styles in the game. This was the first one where we see this latest video where we see playing as different characters, I feel like. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time we see that. And I'm not sure if it is like a customized character thing, but it just showed like all the different weapon styles that you have available, like giant axes, magic, spears, sword and shield, and how they all have different play styles associated to them.
Yeah.
And how movement and like mobility is such a big part of combat. So what were you say?
I was just going to chime in. So it's not a customized character thing. I believe there's a main character you play as, but there are 2 other characters that you play as well. And so they, I think, get unlocked a little later in the game as you play.
Very cool. Okay, well that is good to know. It also seems like there is quite a bit of customization in terms of like what you can wear, which is cool. For me, is a huge boon. Like I love making my character look cool. I'm a Monster Hunter player. What can I say? The fashion is a big part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think everything I see like gets me more and more excited. This game seems also like it's got so many different genres and vibes mixed together. Like at one point you could be fighting a very fantasy looking dragon and then kind of be like gliding next to a steampunk plane and like using magic to lasso yourself onto it and then fight on top of that plane. So much like this game kind of looks too good to be good as a game, or to be real as a game, it seems to echo that in terms of like what they're doing with the story. And while I feel like I haven't learned a bunch of it, I'm just really looking forward to going into this game, knowing very little about what it's supposed to be about, and just picking that up. But from this most recent 9-minute long video, what were some of your highlights, Paul?
I mean, I think it all looks fantastic. I am confused about the style a little bit. I don't want to call it generic because it's not generic, but it does seem to be like the style is whatever we want it to be, kind of in like a Final Fantasy sense. And I think that's okay. And I think that if the game can successfully give me some context to the story of, why some things are like very advanced technology wise and why some things are not, and why other things are magic, and like it just, I don't know, it does feel a little weird that, oh, you're fighting a guy and he's just as difficult as fighting this griffin. and so I'm a little, it kind of feels like a fusion between The Witcher and Zelda a little bit, with some like design styles that are influenced by like Elden Ring a little bit. So, which Elden Ring has been compared to, Zelda before. They're not really the same at all, but a little bit. And so I just feel a little confused with the style. And I hope that the story is successful in making me care about it. Because if this is just a gigantic open world where I am just running around from mission objective for mission objective, that might be fun. And I think an Elden Ring player would resonate with that. I think I need a little bit more from it. And so it just, like you said before in the past, it looks a little too good to be true. And I don't know. It's like, are these abilities that every player gets? Is this an ability? Is this like a random drop? I'm just so overwhelmed with the amount of content and things that are in this game. If I buy this on PC, is it going to be a 300 gigabyte game? Like what? Like, so I think the more they talk about it, the cooler it is. The voice acting is not great. You can tell that it was definitely. They cast, like, you have Japanese casting directors casting American voice actors, so that feels a little weak there. But I don't want to judge it too harshly before I really get to sink my teeth into it. But it feels like a lot, and I hope they can deliver. But it's definitely a game that I want to buy, but I'm not going to pre-order it. So
I think I'm kind of waiting for the reviews. Either way, I'm going to try to play it soon after it comes out, either for the podcast or just for my own curiosity. One of the games that I feel like it kind of reminds me of, just in terms of look and feel, and this is me doing my mashup of Far Cry meets Skyrim. Sure. But for me, it feels a lot like Shadow of War and Dragon's Dogma. Like the combat seems like a kind of a mix between those two. And if it lands anywhere between those two, I'm going to be very happy, because I love both of those games dearly. And I miss one very dearly. We'll never get another Shadow of War game again.
Well, I mean, I thought they were releasing the Nemesis system through some loophole or something like that.
I may be with it getting purchased by Netflix, but then that only means it's going to be in like a Happy Gilmore mobile game or something. But let's speaking of weird stuff, let's move on to the main topic, huh?
Oh God, do we have to? I don't know.
Listen, Paul, you made this the main topic.
I know, and it's because I was
talk about it
because I was so mad about it. All right, I'm gonna try to. Okay,
center.
So we knew this was coming. We did know that this was coming. Horizon Hunter's Gathering. We've known for a while that Guerrilla has been working on a cooperative online Horizon type game. And we finally got a full cinematic trailer, and then we got a long, like a 10-minute dev doc video where they talked about more details of the game, and they showed off some of the gameplay, so it's not just the cinematic of the game. Essentially, it is a 3-player co-op monster hunting game. Monster hunting game. And and there is a story campaign that you can play through, and then there's just specific hunting missions that you can do. They did announce that there will be a public play test that people will be able to check out the game. And they also prefaced that they are very open to feedback, and they want players' feedback. They're going to be doing this public play test well before the game actually releases to give themselves an opportunity to try to implement some of the feedback from the community. Immediately, I hate this so much. I hate the look of it. It is completely like Disneyfied the Horizon universe. And, you know, like some people could argue, okay, well, it's not for you. It's not for an older gamer. It's for kids or anything like that. I don't really agree with that, because it's whenever you're doing a game that it's part of a franchise, I just feel like, who are you trying to pull in? You're trying to pull in Horizon fans. I'm a Horizon fan. I love the first Horizon. I love the second Horizon. I think both games have flaws. I'm not going to say that they're perfect games, but I love those games. I absolutely hate what Sony is doing with this franchise, where they are just like, oh, Horizon's a semi-successful franchise. Let's just make 1 million games. Let's do Horizon Lego Adventure. Let's do Horizon VR. Now we're going to do Horizon Live Service. Because we need a live service. This is so clearly a game that was made in a boardroom instead of asking Guerrilla what game they actually wanted to make. And what pisses me off is at the beginning of the dev doc video, the first thing he says is like, look, we're still really committed to making single player games, trying to reassure us that they're working on Horizon 3. But the thing is, Guerrilla, the main team, has been working on this game, which means that Horizon 3 is not coming out in a year or 2 years or 3 years. It's coming out in 2030 or 2031 on a PlayStation 6, because this is what they're working on right now. And, you know, I'm trying to find a silver lining, but like, I'm really having a hard time seeing it. This game looks like Dauntless, really. I don't know if you are familiar with Dauntless, Phil.
I looked up Dauntless to be like, because I was trying to remember the name of the game, because it looks a lot like Dauntless. It looks like they ripped the bones out of Dauntless and put a Horizon skin on it.
Exactly. But it's a character Dauntless. So you're not making your own character. There's set characters that you play as in the game. A little gleam of positivity in here is that the mission variety seems more complicated than Monster Hunter or Dauntless, where it's not just about go kill the monster or go collect the item. It's there are missions of like, okay, this is specifically a dungeon that you're going through, or this mission is like Fortnite, where the map gets smaller over time and you have less and less time to hunt the monster. But you know, at the end of the day, it's just more live service, grindy crap, and I hate this. I hate that this is what Sony is doing, and this is a reverse of what Overwatch is doing, where it's Marvel Rivals came in and they gave Overwatch some competition, and so Overwatch had to step its game up. Microsoft abandoned console gaming, and now Sony is laying back and being like, we can pump out whatever crap we want because we don't have a competitor anymore, because Nintendo operates with a completely different market than we do. So I I hate this. I watched the whole dev doc. I don't like this at all. Like, it's just do a Fortnite season of Horizon if this is what you wanted to do. Do that licensing deal. Why do we have to do a full game of this? I'm going to pause there, but I have more. So, what are your initial impressions?
Drink a glass of water. You
Sorry,
went pretty hard.
I'm a little sick, so my throat is dry.
No, you were going hard. I felt the fire. But I agree. I have it playing right now just so I can kind of like reformulate what I felt about it. I really don't like the art style. It's kind of overly cartoony.
Cartoony.
And it feels like it could be stylized or it could be interestingly stylized, but it's just it seems like a step away from that. Like they've redesigned a lot of the monsters, like even the little guys, the Watchers or whatever they're called. They look very silly and like overdone, and they have like all these weird things coming off of their heads. The monster like part breaking system, it probably is this simple in Horizon, where it's just like, it's the same. You hit this general area. But this one looks very simplified in a way that it bums me out.
Yeah.
And it just kind of makes like these really cool looking monsters that were a threat in Horizon. It takes them down to a little bit less. Sorry, in the dev doc, let me just point out something. In the dev doc, we cut to the developer talking about it, and his shirt says "Music Lightning Bolt Band." I don't know if that's an actual thing or if that is just a really succinct example of what this game is doing.
It's a subtle message to convey that he knows that this is generic. That's what it is. I completely agree with like the realism aspect of it. It's like when you're playing Horizon, unless you're like this elite player where you're like maxed out at the end of the game, when you're playing Horizon and you see a Thunderjaw, that is a threat.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to fight that thing unless your specific mission is to fight that thing. And so it presents, it's kind of like, what people talk about with Arc Raiders is there's this tension because you're not this invincible being. You're not this, but what they've done is they've taken, we're going to make these a bunch of Horizon characters and they're all superheroes and they're all, it's like they've Mulan'd it. They've taken Mulan and they just made, they're just superpowered. Everybody's just superpowered. And like for me, the reason that I liked Horizon as opposed to Monster Hunter, a lot of people compare them, but when you really examine the gameplay, they're not that similar. Because Horizon, you have to be a lot more tactical about how you take things down. Whereas like in Monster Hunter, I'm not crapping on any Monster Hunter fans here at all. It's like there are tactics when you're taking down certain things in Monster Hunter, but it's not in Horizon. It's like, okay, I need to get that specific armor plate off to hit that specific spot on the monster. And it's not and
you usually only have a couple of shots to do it. Like and then you have to like scurry and craft things. Like you're very much surviving in that game.
Yes.
Versus something like Monster Hunter where you're like, listen, I'm an anime badass. Sure, I have to learn how this thing fights. But
exactly.
I'm going to be able
I have
to
this
flip
giant
around
sword.
And jump on it. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like that was the differentiating thing that made you special, Horizon. Now we don't have that. Now this is you're an archer and you're Goku, where you're going around and you're shooting a million arrows at once and all of this crazy nonsense because we want to make this a multiplayer game. And it's just like, just do Horizon 3. And what's wrong with adding a co-op mode? I don't understand what's so wrong about that. I think Space Marine 2, I know you're not a huge fan, Phil, but like Space Marine 2 went back to an old formula and it has proven that it's still successful. That game's still making money. They're still adding content to that game. It came out 2 years ago. And it's like you can make a Horizon 3 and then be like, okay, this is Horizon 3, but these are co-op missions that you can do with 3 friends or 2 friends or something like that, and you can still stay close to what the Horizon gameplay was instead of completely ripping out what was original about your game and making it into this generic multiplayer live service. So I could not be more mad at Sony about this. And the fact that Guerrilla, which was once one of my favorite developers, has been pouring their resources into this.
Yeah, I think that is sort of the life cycle that we're seeing happen to developers. That we've kind of learned is the thing. Like they start off with a really cool idea, they get bought by a company and allowed to do whatever they want. We get very, very excited, and then all of a sudden they kind of get sold out, whether it is talent drain or the company slowly taking more and more control away from the developers and being more risk averse, and we end up with things like this or Lego Horizon. Again, Horizon is a really cool concept, and I think Horizon 1 and 2, they feel like a trilogy of games in that there's like so much story that happens and so much like someone really wanted to tell the story and they got it out. They made this very singular, unique vision that just feels like it is now being kind of warped and turned into nonsense.
Whatever they
and
want.
I fear the same for eventually, like, you know, God of War. I fear the same for every one of our favorite. Personally, there was the Spider-Man game that got leaked that was like a multiplayer Spider-Man where you played with your friends, you swung around New York. And while I think like, yeah, that would have been fun to play, I think it would have taken a little bit from the brand, and I'm kind of glad that Sony nixed it. Because it would end up something like this, where your fights and your gameplay feels less special because you are experiencing it with other people, and you experience like an easier version of it by necessity, or you're experiencing a version that is like artificially harder, where all of a sudden this character is much more spongy. One of the things that really took me out of this video, it's very cartoony looking, but you are doing damage numbers. You were doing damage numbers to these monsters that, like, you could tell how much they were damaged in the original game by looking at how they were moving and what pieces had fallen off of them. And now it's just numbers on a screen, and you got to get it up to a certain number, and then the thing falls over.
It's everything else now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's very generic. It is dauntless. And it will eventually get pulled, unless Sony throws a bunch of money behind it, which would be weird.
I don't know. I think like maybe they saw Concord. I mean, this game has had to have been in production for a while, and so like, did they like see that? I know that Concord failed, and it's like, well, this was sort of a live. Concord was meant to be a live service game, even though you had to cough up the $40 initially, but they were like, okay, well, maybe a live service only makes sense if it's attached to a known franchise. But I just feel like they are running this franchise into the ground. Like, if you want to make a Dauntless-like game or some sort of like, just make something new. God, like, and believe in it. But I really hate this, and to me, I know that they talked about like all of the stuff in the story that's gonna, because there's gonna be story missions in the game that you can play by yourself if you want to with bots as your partners. But it's gonna be all in Horizon canon. It's like, well, that makes me hate it more because like. Yeah.
This is a very different world than the world we were in.
It's an incredibly different world. It like breaks the reality. I don't like this at all. I don't know what else to say. I'm sad.
The dude with the handlebar mustache and like the mohawk in the first and second game, like he helps you out, but you are a badass compared to him. You are like doing these things that this guy, like, he would die fighting a Thunderjaw by himself, but in this game, he's just like, throwing out quips and flipping and slamming his hammer into stuff.
Just another superhero. Everybody's a superhero. Yeah. So
it's a bummer.
It is. It is a bummer, and not what I was planning on talking about today, but it was what I was most passionate about. So it pisses me off. I'm a Horizon fan, and it's like, if there are like Halo fans out there. It's like, imagine if this, they had cartoonified Halo, and this is the game they were coming out with. So I hate this franchising crap. It's like I said before, just why couldn't you just do a season in Fortnite? Why couldn't you just do that? Like, I know Aloy, I think, is already in Fortnite, but you could do a season and themes.
Honestly, adding like monsters and creatures from Horizon into Fortnite would make for a really cool season. Adding some of the weapons, that would actually be a lot of fun. And then it could stick as a mode in the game afterwards. I just I don't know. I think we're in like an age of transition for many things, but specifically video games. We are watching a lot of the old giants who we saw like claw their way from obscurity to renowned fall, and we're watching new players emerge on the field, which is exciting. Like we've talked about a couple of really cool games today that were coming out that were extremely exciting, and it does suck to see one of the greats fall. And you and I have been pretty open about the fact that we like Sony, we like what Sony's been doing. They feel like the better solution out of them and Microsoft, but at this point, it is tough to look at the future brightly when it comes to if this is their idea of what the future was. I was going to say earlier, like the Last of Us multiplayer game that seemed really, really cool got scrapped, and we're getting this still. That's rough, Yeah, that's tough.
I mean, even you brought up the Spider-Man game. I would have taken either of those over this. Like, 100%. All right, well, we got to wrap it up there because we were a little over time. But good venting on that. Gorilla, if you're looking for feedback, we're not happy. So I'll see about that play test when we find out when that play test is. We will talk about it on the pod, and we can.
Paul will be number one in line to get in that play test.
I if you really want to complain about something, you gotta get your hands dirty and get in there. So, and that's what I love to do. Yep. All right. We're going to call it there. Thank you for listening to episode 110 of the GGG Podcast. We appreciate you. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, we would love it if you were to do that. And if you're listening to the audio-only version on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can follow us over there as well. Thank you, guys, and we hope you have a great February.